Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, so it is 7:01. I'm gonna call meeting to order for the town finance.
All right, 7:01, I'm gonna call to order the Budget and Finance Committee, and one of our members, Paul Murphy, is on Zoom.
Could you speak up? I'm in the room, but I can't hear either one of you.
Oh,
Are you right?
yeah.
Sure.
But you're talking soft.
All right, you want to start with public comment?
We have to approve meeting minutes.
We don't have any.
Oh, so we have meeting minutes from our last meeting. So do I hear a motion on our meeting?
Yep.
All right, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Awesome. Can we do a roll call, Josh?
Dana,
Yes.
Rig,
Aye.
John,
Yes.
Chris,
Aye.
and Bill.
I have to abstain because I wasn't here, but you still have quorum to get the minutes done.
Yep.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Now we move to public comments.
All right, do we have any public comment? We'll start in the room. Go ahead, Janet.
Janet Hanson, Pleasant Street. No particular comment yet until I see how things go, but I am here, to support the library. And, so any money that can be given to the library, if not more, certainly, would go for it. Also, I'd like to hear what the discussion of the override is gonna be. And I might have more comments after I hear what you guys all gonna, and put my 2 cents in, which I don't have 2 cents to spare, so hopefully I won't have to use that 2 cents too much. So there's a little humor there. So very little. So I'll wait and see what you guys all have to say for discussion before I make.
All right, Deb, is anybody raising their hand on Zoom?
I don't see anybody. Nope.
Do you want me to continue, or do you want to do something to it? It doesn't have to be all, if you want.
I can keep going. I can have
Okay.
in whatever.
All right, so our first order, we're going to order FY 26-079, acceptance of a gift from the Pickia Family Trust. I guess that would be you, Laurie.
Yes, thank you. Vice Chair, no, Paul's here.
Paul's here.
Okay,
Can I ask you a question first? Do we have exactly the same agenda?
Yes.
And are we doing them together
Yes.
as agenda item, or are you doing your agenda item, then we do our agenda item? Which is it?
When we've done this in the past, we've had a joint discussion and separate votes.
Okay,
So
That
that's
sounds
how it
good to me.
sounds good.
Okay. So the Lepecki's Family Trust has been very generous with the town over the last 2 years, maybe this might be the 3rd year. But this year, every year, once they certify their financials, it's run. What do you call it? The trust has financials annually, and then it's determined what the donations are to the town. So this particular donation was for $125,816. If you've seen in your packet, most of this is, there's some going right to the library for passes for the museum. I don't even know if people know they can get passes to the Museum of Fine Arts, the Isabella Stewart Garden Museum, New England Aquarium, and Museum of Science. So some of the money goes to that, and then the rest is for cultural events, as deemed by the towns and the community. So, yeah, this is an additional amount. Finance is going to work, with, I don't know if the Budget and Finance Committee, or maybe even the Finance Committee, on some kind of policy on maybe to set up how we annually want to spend this, because it is substantial. And it's a great thing for the town. I mean, this 4th of July, I think the town was able to 25,000. Last year was 20.
So there is some cultural events that can happen with the help of this fund. So it was brought up maybe in one of these meetings that maybe, you know, it might be a good idea to get some people together or even put on a topic on one of your committee meetings to set some guidelines and maybe some ideas at how to best spend some of this money. I'm just trying to find a balance for you. Just close the book, so I was trying to get my numbers all updated.
That's include this money right here or not?
Yes. Actually, can you find it? Oh, here it is. It's $329,000 at the end of the fiscal, the end of,
In the balance of which account?
in the Slupacky's trust fund.
Okay.
So it's quite substantial.
Yeah.
So. But we, you know, we're very grateful, obviously, the town is to the trust and the members of the trustees for continuing this. So, and I know the 4th of July committee is very grateful.
So I mean, since it's going to the Bridgewater Library, that part, we have nothing over to do, but you're talking about the amount that goes to the town of Bridgewater, we should talk about different communities and cultures.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's spelled out in the trust itself, or what exactly it wants to do. You know, on page 6, it says primarily 4th of July celebrations, including but not limited to fireworks, bands, and parade. And secondly, other such artistic and cultural events in the community, such as free concerts, plays, art exhibits, or similar activities as yet unknown.
All right, so we could do that, but the other chunk goes straight to the library.
Yeah.
House.
And it is segregated in the fund for both purposes. That's the current balance. So with this depositor, you know, we have to deposit the money before it's accepted, but that balance is included in what I just gave you. So.
Maybe anybody have?
Yeah, I've got a question. So there was already a previous balance then
Yes.
from all the gifts.
Yep.
And then this will add to it. Obviously, as Mary said, the library trustees will take care of the purchasing the passes and managing that piece. So you're saying that there is no policy currently in place about distribution of this trust money that Bridgewater is holding.
Correct.
It's already received.
Yeah, it's in there what it can be spent on.
Sure, I read that.
Right.
Yeah, but there's
But
no.
we haven't set, you know, any, you know, committee or speaking with, you know, you guys on how you think it's best spent. So.
Okay.
I got a question online.
Yeah.
Greg?
Hi, can you guys hear me well?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you. I guess I'm just curious to know, are there any standard policies in place, not only for this particular gift, but just in general? And if not, whatever policies that needs to be put in place, will that policy be universal towards these types of gifts in terms of like a general, you know, processes and so forth?
Yeah, so that is a great question. We do currently have some guidelines of gifts and donations that we have in effect as far as how the town accepts them, you know, what department manages whoever and what the purposes are. Any donation that the town receives becomes the property of the town upon them accepting it. And its purpose is to use it for what the donee or what the gift is for. And with same thing with grants, you accept them and they're used for that specific purpose. And that's been the policies of the town. Certain gifts like this, we don't usually have this a large amount of money that can be gifted out to or spent out. So that's why we talked about this. But we do have general policies, and usually most of the gifts or the grants are specific for a special purpose, and that is the policy of the town is to spend it on the purpose of what that money is for always, so that's the current policies.
Thanks. Does that answer your question, Rick?
And I totally understand that that oftentimes these types of gifts are earmarked for whatever, depending on the person the entity, or the family that's gifting it. But it sounds like there's some general policy in terms of how I'm assuming in terms of how the town would distribute it in support how the gifter wants it spent. So thank you for outlining that.
Thank
It'd be
you.
interesting to work on something like that. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah.
Would you go back?
John's hand was first. Oh, wait.
John?
Just a couple things. So the council meeting, I believe it was in June. So the money that was provided to the 4th of July committee, is that already been allocated and distributed? And is that 300 and was it 310, 320 balance? Is that after those funds have been distributed?
Yes to both, so
Okay.
the money was
That's from
spent,
last year's gift, right?
yeah, from the previous money.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and this is the current balance includes the expense of that check.
Okay.
So,
And then the other one, it's nothing really substantial, but and on the order, in both whereas clauses, where it should be statute 53A, it says $53A. It's just a clerical error. Just wanted to point that out.
Thanks.
That's it.
Yeah. I see it.
So I also agree with Bill. It's good to have policies in place, something we should definitely do. And since some of these are cultural and artistic and stuff like that too, obviously we have a cultural council and the state has guidelines, so maybe we could look at some of those guidelines to use for our guidelines.
Yeah, it would take, a committee or something to get the organization or the event or whatever it is to do it, unless you have some resident. But again, no one really knows about it, so, I mean, it was suggested so that it just doesn't sit there growing and then, 4th of July comes around every year and that's all it's used for.
Well, I guess the council could write up a resolution too.
Yeah, and
Look
that-
into
absolutely,
funds.
that's a great
And go
point
find out.
too.
Let the residents speak and see what they want to.
Just clarification, so 329 is after the 25,000
Yes.
was spent.
Yes.
Okay, and because there was
That
a
does-
balance from a previous year. Do you have any idea what that balance
Um,
was?
And that probably doesn't include the 125 here.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So it'll be
so it's probably about the same every year, isn't it, I think?
No, it's
Change
up to like
the amount?
450 after the
Yeah.
jump. Yeah, I definitely think setting up guidelines in a collaborative way would be great. And I think the idea of finding a way to engage the community
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that's a
So
good
the
next step.
balance at the end of last June 30th was 197, 725.
it's June 30th of
2025. There was additional monies, I think, accepted in this fiscal year as well as this one.
Okay.
But there were some ones.
Rick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think your last comment was alluding to, and please correct me if I'm wrong if I heard it incorrectly, was alluding to sort of getting the information out. I guess I'm curious to know, because I've heard the statement, no one knows about it a couple of times or a few times in this conversation. What collaborations do we have with, with different organizations around town, the school department, and making folks aware that these resources are available, not only through this particular grant, since the conversation is about this, but other resources as well.
Well, that's a great question as well. So typically, if a donation or a gift comes through the town, whether it's to the senior center, the police, or some other purpose, I think I don't know if we announce it like maybe it could be a little better. I know communications is one of the things that assistant town manager Trish will be working on to better advise the community what's going on with community and news and things of that nature. But typically, if the council accepts it and, if it's for the senior center or the library or whatever, usually the director are present and they kind of give an idea of what the money's for, what the program's for. So, usually when the money comes in, that's when it's announced and then it's spent down. Something like this is rather large and unusual, so it probably needs a little bit more of
oversight and maybe a committee to assist with that. I think I'm just going to chime in here.
Yeah, perfect.
Only because if it's a grant or a donation of a significant amount, we want to make sure that there's some controls and probably a committee or oversight and, people giving suggestions of how the money would be spent.
I think if you did a resolution, because it says it must be used for the cultural benefit everyone in the town of Bridgewater. So the amount of money that's given to the town, I think we could do it like the cultural council does. A group could put in after we got the resolution, this is the money, this is what it can be used for, then they can write up like you would send to the Mass Cultural applying for a grant. But here you would be applying to the town council and we would grant it. And I think that way, everyone can have their own thing and we'll do the best we can and put time limits on it so everyone doesn't get in first or second, they all get it once. And maybe do it that way.
Yeah.
Like you said, the culture could help us.
Yeah. The state has good guidelines, state cultural.
Yeah.
We have a cultural test,
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
so we
That's
should
what I
engage
think.
them.
Yeah, and because they're the ones that apply for the Mass Cultural, so they'll know
John?
that money's strict though. That
it says it on there,
you in your resolution, you'd have to just outline what types of
I would just copy the wording, say as stated in the trust.
So you have a question, because I have another
Yeah.
related to that.
John?
Yeah, I was just waiting for people to finish in the room. I just want to make sure, while we're having these discussions that we don't, forget to account for the expenses for like these museum passes. So we need to understand what that annual run rate is going to be for those museum passes so that you're not eroding those funds to take care of that and making sure, see what else is left after that.
For sure. It seems like the trust is pretty specific in the amount set aside for the museum passes. I imagine there's some math that they've done there, but yeah, that's a good call.
Well, we'd only be using the town, the
The
check.
town portion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the library goes for the passes.
So my question really goes to Lori. So who has the spending authority in a gift? Like the Chuckman gift where he bought markers for the fire hydrants. Is that the fire chief that has spending authority?
it's usually accepted and
Yeah, so in this case where it's for specifically 4th of July activities, is it really the town council that has the spending authority? I'm asking because that's who has to approve whatever the process is for the grant requests. Because there's really, when you look at the layout of what the limitations are for this large piece, it comes down to like 5 different elements, most of which are controlled by the 4th of July committee, and maybe BSU used to run the cultural thing,
the
arts thing, and maybe a handful of other things. But most of it comes down to 2 entities that are going to make a request, maybe a third entity if there's something else. But I just want to make sure that when we get into the guts of how the process would work, who is the spending authority, does the request then have to be ratified by the town council as a whole on an agenda to be able to allocate that money for the request?
Well, I think.
Don't we have to ratify, don't we give 25,000 every year from this to the 4th of July, and we have to?
Well, you guys did take a vote. They
Yeah.
did take a vote to have the town.
They did, but when I was on the council, there was no money available to give.
Right,
Right.
Yeah.
right.
So I think this also just sort of strays a little bit from the agenda item, right? And so it seems like we're all sort of coalescing around this
Sure,
idea that we
yeah.
should accept I'm hearing conversations
Yeah.
that it sounds like people are thinking about accepting the gift.
Yeah,
But then there might be a follow-on, which would be
Yeah.
either a resolution for
Yeah.
you guys or a recommendation from our committee in a subsequent meeting. So that
Yeah.
would be a different agenda item.
Yes.
so that's.
So, does anybody have anything else to say?
Any other questions from folks?
All right, does my committee, can I get a motion to recommend?
I'll make a motion to recommend to.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? We have to roll call. Paul? Are you in
Yes.
favor?
Yes.
Yes.
And I am too, yes.
Do I hear a motion from the finance
I'll
committee?
make a motion to approve this, recommend this, I guess.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
that. I'll second it.
Riggs the second. Can we do a roll call, Josh?
Dana,
Yes.
Rig,
Aye.
John. John, you're on mute.
Aye.
Thank you. Chris
Aye.
and Bill.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
You want me to do this one?
Sure, you do that one, just take turns.
All right, order OFY 27008, the transfer order from the Community Preservation Committee, the cultural grant match for the townhouse. Oops, I skipped ahead. Just
Sorry,
kidding.
say wait a minute.
Ignore me. 1 second. This one is order OFY 27-007, the acceptance of the gift from Bridgewater State University.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is, check for 110,000, which, annually the university has, gifted to the town to be split between fire, police and highway, 55,000. So they raised that to 60. So each of those three departments will have $20,000 as, they feel to spend as the fire chief, police chief, and the highway superintendent or DPW director. So approves. And then there's also a 50,000 gift that will be spent in accordance with the street improvements around Summer and Plymouth Street for that intersection.
So just to clarify, this is $60,000 gift
Mhm.
and a $50,000 gift.
Totaling to 110.
And it's okay to take them collectively.
Well, there were separate checks, but yeah, it's one.
Okay,
Mhm.
then I'll make the motion on our side to.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So is there currently a plan to do renovations at the former gas station at Summer and Plymouth Streets? Or any plan for improvements in the adjacent intersections? Because we are limited to 12 months to spend this money.
Yeah, so this money is actually will be used to an engineering company that has already been engaged by the town. To help, this is gonna help pay that bill.
So we already had. Okay, so we had bid out a contract
And yeah.
without
and-
knowing. So we had budgeted for it.
Well, it's in conjunction with the grant from the state, for the park grant, with the construction going on, so there was a gift, not gift, a grant from the state, that's used in conjunction with that.
So then with,
So the town would have had to pay for this.
so we budgeted to pay for the whole.
Yes,
Okay.
the contract, yeah.
How much
But
is that contract?
it's $90,000.
Okay. So this will offset that.
Yeah, well, actually, they already gave 50,000 previously for it, that was accepted, so this is gonna cover their. You know, it wasn't gonna be covered by the grant when the CUV was doing the grant, so. The university stepped up and said they would cover the cost.
Okay.
Mary Paul has his hand up.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, coming across as nicely as I can because I'm very thankful for the Bridgewater State University for the gift here, but in my eyes, I think the 60,000 on here is a little bit performative, right? It's work that they've already done. Bridgewater State helps us out all the time, and they're great partners with our city and town on doing road work, and they've done a lot of sidewalk improvements over the last couple of years. I think this, this makes it look a lot better. That we're kind of calling out this specific gift towards Summer Street. But this is something they do all the time. So I also want to acknowledge the gifts that they give throughout the course of the year and not just this one. Um, but if this is how we're going to prove or show people the gifts they give, that works for me too. I'm in favor of it. I'm just saying it seems a little strange to call out this one specific gift when the university is kind enough to give small gifts throughout the course of the year.
Thank you, Paul. Sure. Anyone else?
So Lori kind of answered my question because in the further ordered section, it was either or for the use of the gift. So it's already been decided what the gift would be used for. And as Paul said, we need to be thankful for any money that we receive from BSU. It's a generous, it's a generous thing that they do by the Constitution of Massachusetts. They don't need to. And this, I'm directing this at Trish. This is the type of thing that we need to communicate out to the community so that they understand we are a partner with BSU for many different things. And so the 60,000, I think, is great. I was there for several years when BSU removed the gift altogether, and it took a while to get back. So it's very nice to have money going into our departments with this.
Or did we go combined with BSU for grants to get those roads fixed around there? We do that a lot.
So yeah, they
Just we get along.
actually, so they wrote a grant that it's called the Shared Street Grant. So
Yeah.
we have that too. I forget what road it's working on, but
It was Summer Street. They were doing some of that.
yeah, it's off of Summer though, so it's not
Yeah.
near the park.
Right.
Or that Plum Street. It's somewhere else. So
Yeah.
that we have that Shared Street grant coming in too for that work. So usually, whatever the grant is and anything that goes over, they get it through the town because the town can procure it.
Yeah.
And the highway superintendent can get the vendors and make sure that anything that needs to be done to smooth it along with the town
Yeah.
sections of wherever it
I
is.
think we worked with BSU a couple
Yeah.
times on that.
And a couple times, we've extended where they originally were gonna go and BSU fit the bill for the extension of it, so. I
No,
mean,
it's
it gets the community, the downtown area too.
Yeah.
Keeps it.
No, it's all our roads.
So I had the opportunity to attend a payment in lieu of taxes session down in Marion. Shelley went to as well.
Yep.
It was very informative.
Mhm.
While this is a good amount and a step in the right direction, a lot of people that my constituents have expressed to me that the college pays a very small amount to this town. And that figure stayed fixed for a long time. We also, I call it all recycled money because we pay for an MBTA station.
Mhm.
We don't get prison mitigation money, and we get a little bit for state-owned land. So it could be a lot of, they own a lot of land in this town. Would be a lot of revenue that we need.
Well, they are holding those meetings because
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they'll fluctuate with the formula to
Yeah.
increase. Yes, there
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
There's a commission that the governor, so I'm hopeful that that'll happen. So I will still make the motion to accept.
Well, we got one more.
Oh, right.
I'm sorry, I don't want to prolong the conversation, but as the gentleman was speaking, what came to mind, are there who's leading those discussions around the gifts, or is it just BSU making their own arbitrary decision to say I want to gift the town X amount of dollars. And the reason I'm asking this question is because if there is someone that's representing the town and having conversations with BSU, and then subsequently coming up with a figure, a dollar amount, is there a way that, is there a way that some of those discussions could also include gifting X amount of dollars towards the school department, the district? I'm just curious. I don't know what's the process in terms of these gifts directly from BSU, but if there's a liaison, a town liaison that's having those discussions, it'll be interesting for me to want to know what are the discussion points, and what specific entities that are part of those discussion points, MBTA, school department, etc., or this is just BSU deciding I want to give X amount of dollars to the town. Thank you.
Well, you might wrong, but BSU would have to negotiate with the school because we're separated when it comes to grants and money.
Yeah, so I can answer that question, Ray, too, and yours is it's the town manager's conversations with the university president. The university has an annual meeting with town department heads to inform the department heads and the town manager and staff like what their plan is for the next year. It's like an informal meeting. So the school department is also included in those, and the university directly communicates with the school administrative staff because they have programs that they do offer to the school outside of any town business. So I know they do a lot of work with the school and spend a lot of time and energy and effort, helping the schools with any challenges that they come up with when they're talking about things.
I think to the counselor's point, though, if we had a stronger pilot commission and a pilot formula, there wouldn't be need for all of these gifts. There wouldn't be need for the individual meetings because they would be paying a pilot payment that is representative of what they're taking from our town in terms of revenue. And then that would just go into our general forecast and we could spread that across all of our departments.
We could probably add this as a discussion point for some other meeting. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're getting a little far off the
Yeah.
left field from the gift.
Just another point. The college also offered to the library because they do the senior
Right.
college over there. They've just re-outfitted the downstairs big meeting room. I don't know the dollar amount to that, but
Yeah, no, it was pretty substantial, and they've worked with the senior center with interns and all kinds of, if the
They do
Yeah.
a lot for a lot of the time.
they'll reach
Every
out.
single area,
Yeah. Someone needs help, they reach out and they're really responsive.
Go ahead, Paul.
Again, I think Bill said it well, not to drag out the conversation, but I know that these gifts are happening through the course of the year. And thank you, Mark, for mentioning the library too. I was going to bring that up, but these are conversations that happen nearly any time active work is going on around the college that either our CED director in the past or town manager has worked with BSU on. And I think we get confused with the pilot program, which is a state funding, I'll say it, issue, right? It's inadequate. That's a state issue. But the fact that BSU is just presenting us with a gift of money is coming from the college itself. And that, again, that's something they don't have to do. And my understanding from the questions I've asked is these three services are services that overlap or the college also uses. And so that I think is why the intended purpose goes to those three and specifically, and maybe to the question about the school committee, the BSU isn't directly impacted with the school committee. And so I know they use the police, fire, and highway services. And so that's my understanding of why it does kind of overlap, again, just for some context.
Thank you, Paul.
Any other questions?
so now I'll make the motion to recommend.
Can we get a second, Paul?
Seconded.
Roll call.
Yeah, that's right, roll call. Mark,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
Awesome. Do I hear a motion from the finance committee?
Motion
I'll
to
entertain a
accept.
motion.
Awesome. Do you have a second?
Well, second.
Awesome. Josh, can we do a roll call?
Dana,
Yes.
Rig,
Aye.
John,
Yes.
Chris, Bill.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion is approved.
All right, we'll go to C, order 0 FY 27009, transfer order, library budget reallocation. It's to you, Laurie.
Thank you. Do we skip the community preservation committee one?
I can have that
You
on.
don't have
You
that.
don't have that. Oh, interesting.
What is that about? Is that the 8,000?
Yeah. Is that just on mine?
I think they removed that on mine.
Did I print the wrong one? Is also,
They don't have a, I think they.
this is the latest one?
I think, I don't
Yeah,
know,
'cause
maybe
Debbie
Josh
just
didn't
printed
know.
this
Josh, can you help us here?
You might not have known, we pulled that from the, council. Or maybe it was, I forget what happened, sorry.
That was the matching grant?
It wasn't needed. It was withdrawn at the last meeting.
Oh, it was withdrawn.
Okay,
I
cool.
apologize.
The
Sorry about
community
that.
preservation committee, Bill's report.
Yeah, no, I forgot too. I know.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I know, when you said that earlier.
I know, that's what I was, I was,
Just giving everyone.
is the. Okay, go ahead, Mark, do you have anything to say?
What on this one?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't talk about.
She didn't talk.
oh, okay, sorry.
No, I interrupted because I was confused.
I thought
sorry,
you were
Lori.
asking to say something.
So the order before you is, it's an order to reallocate FY 27 budgeted funding from the library expenditure budget to the library salaries. The expenditures, we look to, cover the amount out of the budget with state aid funding and absorbing, some of the costs in the town building budget of the energy, electric and gas. It's typically funded in the library. So the library kept it in their budget for years so that they were always, and this year we're gonna pull it out. But we're keeping it in the salary, so. Which will give the library a stronger argument to if there's a state waiver requirement. So.
Will the library have no savings at all after this? Do you know?
This budget doesn't, it's not reducing their budget. We're actually just, we're keeping their budget
No,
the
but I mean,
same. We're
because-
putting in the salaries.
So this is held for the library before the operation and building that was under for the library?
Well, we were paying bills out of their expense budget.
And that will clear out both of them?
No, we're gonna pay the bills in another account, but it keeps the money inside the library budget.
This,
I know it's confusing.
this gets us to the table to be considered for the waiver. That's the only way it will be
Yes.
considered for the waiver.
Yes.
If it doesn't get approved, it will be.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. So out of these two, usually their bills and stuff are paid.
Mhm.
So once we transfer this over to salaries, then their bills, gas and electricity will come out of our budget?
Not the town building budget, where it should be anyway.
Okay,
It should be in the bill, it should be in the, with all the other buildings are paid in the town building.
Anything cleaning and
Mhm.
budget. and
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah.
Question. So was the 56,000 budgeted in the general fund building maintenance budget? Or is there going to be a deficit in that budget if you're now paying bills for the library out of it?
Well, we're hoping that there won't be, but it probably will be towards the end of the year, but we're looking at ways to mitigate that, so don't know.
John,
Mhm. But we think we can absorb it and it'll work out.
And this is only one of the things that they have to do. The report is due to the state the 14th of this month
Okay,
by the library director, part of the report.
right.
And this will allow that. You know, there's a material cost and an open hours cost. So
Right.
this will solve
This
the
will
open
get the
hours one
hours
and
to-
bring the
for
library
the-
back
for
to
the
6
people to
days,
work. Correct,
starting in September.
correct.
Josh, did I lose quorum?
As long as you
I'm
start
back.
the meeting within.
John's
Drop
back.
back.
Okay, we did lose Ray. Yeah, okay. To clarify, so the waiver you were just talking about.
Yeah.
That's to remain accredited.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. John, you had a question before you dropped off?
Yes. So looking at the budget, so we lost the two part and an archivist for just under 60,000. Reallocating this $6,000 from expense to salary, will this help to restore those lost positions?
Yes.
Could you hear Lori's answer?
Yes. It will.
John, did you hear? He's on
You
mute.
cut in and out for a second, but I did hear it.
Okay.
Dana, we did lose Riggs, so we don't, the finance committee doesn't have a quorum right now.
Can somebody call him?
Yeah, but
Coming
if
back
you
to now.
can- But under,
Oh,
He's
we
right
there
run
he
under
is.
He's
Robert's
back.
rules. Yeah. So we run under Robert's rules. So as long as we start the meeting with quorum, you can continue the meeting if you lose quorum.
So,
I have one more comment, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So when
sorry
I
about that.
spoke-
I'm back.
Good. When I saw this, I was a little bit worried, and I'm okay. I'm okay with Lori's explanation. But this town has had a history of building neglect, this building being one of them, where leaders of the past have shaved off, building maintenance to pay for something else because it wasn't budgeted that way. And the buildings became neglected. The Memorial Building was an example. The library was an example. This building's an example. The interior of the Old Town Hall is an example. So I'm okay with this amount because it's not hefty, but we have to be really careful in the balance of, kicking something down the road. And if you think there can be other ways, I'm okay, and I'll support this.
Well, didn't we just spend a lot of money on the library fixing it up?
So there is
we
some
did a
capital
survey.
funding.
Yeah.
There's some capital funding that is available and they're working on a lot of the projects over there.
Yeah, I thought we had budgeted for that.
Yeah.
Grants.
Yeah.
The columns are being done right now.
Yeah.
So we have made progress in investing in some of them over the last few years.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul.
I guess 2 points. One, and I would say this repeatedly, and folks probably get tired of me hearing it, but this is not a sustainable way to fund our library. So again, this is a short-term fix, and we're going to be presented with the same problem next year, if not worse. Secondly, I know Lori, and it's probably a deeper conversation for Justin, but we have several vacant positions now and have had several vacant positions at the end of the fiscal year. Why not? Why did we explore pulling from those or temporarily holding off on hiring for 6 months to fill this gap? Just curious there. And again, I could save that for Justin if need be, but
Yeah, I would rather wait and have Justin answer you only because, there's, he can answer it better than I could.
so on that same point, I know there was an expenditure that wasn't spent for an employee for, I believe, a 3-month period. Comes out to about $25,000.
In the library.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the library. So to me, at some point, that would be something that I believe should go back to the library once she's certified free cash. And I kind of agree with Bill too. This is a good, and Paul, this is a good way to get it done for now, to get us to the table. The state still, they can say no, because if we haven't met the materials requirement part, they can say no, but they probably won't, because there's plenty of libraries in this boat. But this just gets us, closer. I mean, I have people that want to give us money for salaries. We can't do that technically. I don't believe. I know they did it once before for the senior center back in the day, but I don't know if it was done the same way. So I'm going to move to recommend this.
Your motion to recommend.
Motion to recommend this.
Well, are you guys all done asking questions and talking?
Looks like I've got one more.
Okay.
John?
Yeah, just on what Councilor Lindy was saying, you know, he says he's got, you know, people that are looking to, you know, give gifts to help fund the library. We just approved 2 gifts from funds that were allocated to specific use cases. Why can't we do that for the library when we can do it for other businesses, business lines?
So I think we can, but it doesn't help meet the state requirement.
Right.
Because the state requirement is that the town is putting in a certain amount.
Gotcha.
So it would help the library as a whole, but it doesn't help our accreditation, unfortunately.
Right.
Gotcha.
Sorry. Right.
Thank you.
Was I right? I just,
Yeah.
sorry.
Tired.
It's hard to understand from the average point of view because it's the only department that requires a certification, and it's kind of a complicated process. Like even if the state created a huge pool of money to give to libraries and towns, it's subject to the municipal appropriation, not the state appropriation or donation or anything like that. So I just
There
want
are,
to see.
you know, other, like the police is accredited, so there is a lot of other areas that are.
Well, I think I used the wrong word, certification. Every schools have to be accredited, police, fire, but this is certification. It's a whole separate issue. So I'm going to.
Okay, we have a motion to recommend, Paul. You want to second it?
Reluctantly.
Oh,
Yeah.
we have a motion to recommend.
Yeah,
You-
reluctantly seconded.
Oh, okay. Oh, you did. I'm sorry. I thought he said he couldn't hear it. All right, all approve. I mean, no, that's right. Paul, to approve? I mean, I
Yes.
recommend.
Yes.
I
Yes.
can't hear that. And I'd say yes. He's coming in and out tonight.
Yeah,
Just me.
I heard.
Okay.
So it's just me.
All right. Do I have a motion for the finance?
So I think we lost that. Is Rick back?
No.
No.
We've got John.
Okay.
This
Yeah,
is
John, right.
Back now.
He's done.
Make a motion to approve.
Thanks, John. Do I hear a
I'll
second?
second that.
Okay, so second. We get a roll call, Josh?
Dana,
Yes.
Rig,
My apologies. Can I abstain to that? Because I lost connection for about 5 or 10 minutes.
yep. John,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Next, we've got order OFY 27-010, the transfer order, the finance budget reallocation.
Okay, so this is a reallocation of funding in the treasury collecting department to the assessors department. So as you can, in the explanation, we are this will shift us in finance to be able to hire someone in the assessing because a vacancy was created in the collector's office when someone left and went to the senior center. So anyway, we think that this will help the finance operations a little bit more efficiently, putting some of that the money from the collection into the assessors will help us immensely with the overload of work in the assessing department. And they can also take some of the tax title duties inside the collection office into the assessors. So it's not like they're losing totally just the funding of a person, but you know, there is work that will be done, even though the person will sitting in the assessing department.
Motion recommend.
I have a question. This is part-time, right?
It's a 25 hour.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what was funded in the collecting.
Any question? Heard a motion you recommend? We'd like before we need a second. Oh, John, you have a question?
I'm gonna second, and just for discussion, I had prepared a question and Lori answered it. Just wanted to see if this was going to reinstate that lost position in the assessors department from the budget.
Yes.
So thank you.
Got a second, so we can do a roll call?
Dana,
Yes.
Rig,
Aye.
John,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
And I'll make a motion to recommend.
Paul, can I get a second?
Seconded.
And roll call, Mark,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
myself, yes. Moving on to order 0 FY 27-011, transfer order, funding of fire arbitration. It's all you, Laurie.
Okay. I have all my things here. Okay, so this funding order is to provide funding for the Joint Labor Management Committee called the JLMC. And I'm just gonna read this statement that I think Justin read at the council, and I'll just read it verbatim, so. On Friday, June 26th, the town received the interest arbitration decision in the matter of the unresolved bargaining negotiations with the Bridgewater Firefighters Union. The award was issued by a panel appointed by the Joint Labor Management Committee, an agency that's charged with resolving police and fire bargaining disputes. Pursuant to Chapter 589 of the Acts of 1987, I am obligated to present the council with a request to fund the award within 30 days. I should have said the town or Justin. And the request before you provides sufficient funding to meet the town's obligation under that award. Under Chapter 589, under Chapter 150E, the town, along with others on the bargaining team, have an obligation to support the funding for the JLMC award. And we do support the funding. So that's about all I can really comment on for this order, other than, the amounts are provided what will take to fund this award. So. Thank you all.
Oh, go for it.
Probably be a good opportunity to take 30 seconds to introduce myself. For those in the room that don't know me, and there's probably just a few, I'm Bill Wood. I was on the town council for almost a dozen years. Did a very small stint on the finance committee. For all the time that I was on the town council, I was most of the time I was chair of the budget and finance committee. For all the time, I was always a member of the budget and finance committee. I was one of the key people that put together the legislation that built our stabilization accounts. I was the author of the budget resolution that put our budget back into control and built the stabilization, as well as with other counselors, we put together a free cash policy that allocates free cash in a meaningful way instead of different, on the spot allocation. So we put a lot of procedures in to build up the stabilization account. And I've stated this many times over the years. The stabilization account was built because of the financial crisis of 2008. And we built it to a level sufficient that we could have a downturn of magnitude of 2008 and be able to sustain our unions, because about 90% of our employees are union members, for about 3 years without having to lay anybody off. And this is the second time I've seen the fund tapped into for a use. And I don't know of any policy right now that is in place to build it up. And given the expense and revenue ratio right now, probably isn't a way to build it up. So in my viewpoint, it's very dangerous to take $1 million out of the stabilization account, because when we actually get into economic troubles, we will be laying off a lot of people. Now, I also worked on the contract or approval of a contract across the street. At that point, it was the police union, and we've done the evaluation, and I said to the union, all the policemen in Bridgewater, except for those on the street, were there, and I said, this is a very expensive contract. A contract has no value until you apply people to it. It's when you apply people to it in those specific squares that it becomes a value. And so what I said to them is that if we adopt this and get into financial trouble, it's likely going to result in rifts. And I am in the end going to say no on this, just so you know. But I encourage everyone else in the room to say yes, so it passes. Right? So my position is that the contract was probably in a finalized position, and I'll ask a couple questions in a second. And that, this arbitration, and I've read through the arbitration, came back and asked for more money based on something else. And so the first question, Laurie, is, was the contract that this is based on in a finished and signed status, and then it went to arbitration after that?
There was no, I don't know if I can was not bloody. Yeah, I don't think. There was no resolution between the town and the union, so that's why we went to arbitration.
Okay. Is there any other contract right now that's in a similar way? No. Okay. What is the balance of the stabilization account right now?
I'm ready for you, Bill. I'm just gonna find what I did with it. On the agenda. There's $9,797,839
In the general fund stabilization?
in the general fund stabilization trust fund
Okay.
as of June 30th.
Which is $1.3 million above the FY25 balance.
What's that?
It's $1.3 million above the FY25 balance.
Oh,
So
okay.
it grew.
What's the amount again? Can you just say it one more time?
$9,797,839.
So I'll just let everybody know I'm less worried now, because I figured it was around 6 million, 7 million. It's grown. Good investments.
It also
Oh,
puts us at around 10%. Is it 12% of our budget or?
12% of the budget last year.
Yeah, so
All right,
So- the last question really has to do with the basis. So now, because this is all firefighters contract, so this moves their basis up for the next negotiation and for FY28 costs, right? Or that'll be a new contract, will it?
I think it's a 3-year, right? Yeah. 25, 26, 27. Yeah, so 28 would be renegotiating.
So this is the last year of that contract, and the arbitration affects all 3 years. Yeah. So I will reposition myself to say I will support the amount, but I want to caution everybody that we can't keep doing this.
Makes no sense. Paul, go ahead.
Again, agree with Bill. This is not a sustainable way to fund our government. So that's an issue with me. But most importantly, in regards to the specific agreement and why I will vote no on this is because I think the town has won on a lot of these points in here, according to what's written in the arbitration. One of the key factors for me is the educational stipend. If folks notice, that used to be a flat rate for firefighters. And so the town could essentially determine every year exactly what they would be sort of putting forth with the education stipend. This now includes a compounding increase every year of a 5%, 6.5%, or 7.5% based on educational degrees. And so that's a compounding benefit that's going to continue to rise on the town. And while maybe their small percentage raise is in line with what we see with other contracts, I think this is going to set a very dangerous precedent, especially with police and as other contracts come up now. are they going to be asking for a percentage educational increase, which again really affects their underlying overall pay? And it could affect pension liability long term. I'm not sure if it's tied to pension liability. That's one of my questions, I guess, that I'll ask. But then most importantly, how do we determine this compounding, increase without knowing or having that information right in front of us right now of who has what degree? And I don't know, I would hope the town has that, but I think we should all be looking at that to understand what this total dollar amount looks like.
Comment to that. I think, thank you. That was a really great point. I think the question I have is the breakout of the $1 million. How much of that is salaries and how much of that is this educational stipend?
Let me see. I probably can't answer that.
They have an EMT stipend too.
I don't have that with me. But the factor of the education was in the third year. So,
Okay.
I don't have it broken down. I do have the answer to the other question earlier.
Oh, thank you.
Um,
So I had asked Lori before the meeting started, we approved a police agreement in March, June, that went through the same time period. And I wanted to double check the parameters of the wages against that one. I had checked it, but I asked Lori to pull it as well.
Yeah, so it cost fiscal 25, 118,985. Fiscal 26 was 135, 715, and fiscal 27 was 163, 642.
But the raise parameters were the same, right? It was 2%, 111 on the same dates.
Yes.
Okay,
So that yeah, that's
Okay.
correct.
thank you.
Mhm.
All this is
Go ahead, Paul.
Sorry to keep harping on this, but I think the way that the arbitration was written, I think they acknowledged several times throughout it that the town's in a tough financial situation or fiscal situation, which I think reading that plays in our favor, right? If the arbitration panel understands the position that Bridgewater's in, I think that resulted in sort of the agreement that's in front of us. But again, adding a compounding benefit is a huge concern for me. And then I think the insurance piece too, that we did ask for 25% insurance and that was denied ultimately. But I know that the town, and that's something we've talked about, is the direction we want to go too across the board, is those insurance costs are what killing us, especially on the educational side. We've seen that with our school system. And that's just something we need to get a hold of too long term when we're thinking about these agreements.
And the police agreement did have that parameter. So just like when I think about how we approach collective bargaining, I want to make sure we're treating all our unions equitably. And the police agreement had that very specific line in it about all new hires as of a certain date would be 25%. So that would be different.
Right.
Greg?
I guess my comment would be similar. I would be extremely concerned about, like there's no clear definition to this. Precedent is something that I would be concerned about. Make no mistake, there are other unions that are, however we decide on this, other unions are paying a close attention to this. And without clear definition of what this might look like and numbers behind it, it's difficult. And I knowing what the challenges are in the town financially, I guess my position would be a no as of right now. Thank you.
I don't know.
Paul, do you have something else to say?
Yeah, I don't know if I spelled that out very clearly, but I think it would be really helpful if Lori could put together, or somebody could put together, who receives an educational incentive now, and then what the total cost would be from the old process to the new process. Because again, that's the difference that I'm going to be hung up on, and seeing that increase maybe over the course of the next 3 years would be really helpful to play out.
Yeah, well, that was factored into the calculation because it had to be, I just don't have the breakout of what that was.
So the educational increase is an increase based on completion of the degree, which increases their base pay, correct? So it's not a recurring, it's on an individual basis of achieving a milestone, increases his or her pay to a 5% or whatever it is. And then that's just their new base pay, correct?
Yes.
But Bill, on that piece, excuse me for jumping in. Sorry, I didn't raise my hand, Mary. If they receive 80 grand this year in their step one, and they have a 5% for having an associate's degree, next year when they go to step two or whatever it is for the next step, they're making, $82,000 and they're getting 5% of that 82. So every year we're doing a percentage based on that base pay increase.
Sorry, I didn't understand. I guess I didn't understand your question. So the salary is based on a table. For all,
Yeah, I
all
get
of
that,
them,
right.
yeah. And then
Yeah, I looked at,
the salary could have COLA changes and step changes.
Right.
So.
Right.
That's the base.
I've always called that the four square problem, because you don't move laterally, you don't move vertically, you move diagonally. And so this is a diagonal move on a milestone to a new spot on the grid.
Right.
But then from that point, every time you take a step, I understand what you're saying, Paul, but every time you take a step, it's a percent, it's a COLA, it's an annual increase plus the COLA from a vertical step and diagonal step.
Correct.
Yeah. But once you achieve the milestone of that degree, it's what the school system calls a lateral. So the lateral is from bachelor's to master's, master's to doctorate. Here we're saying like EMT to associates to bachelor's to EMT, whatever the structure is.
Mhm.
Brig,
Thank you. Does it matter what degree, or could it be any degree?
is your question, does it have to be related to their job function?
That's the question.
Yeah. Yes. They're mostly all, yeah. Fire, EMTs, I don't know what the degree is called. But yeah, it does.
So informational question, when does the 30-day clock end? Are we up against the clock today?
Good question.
Because he won't meet again.
That's
So he's already done.
right.
Sent to the town council. I don't know, the situation we're in right now, I can't see
This
where
is
the
June
where the
24th.
percentages and stuff like that going forward with this, as much as I would love to. I mean, I see their salaries compared to other towns, it's good salaries. Most of our firemen are all allowed to go to EMTs, which put them up on the high end. And I support all first responders and I would give them as much as I could, but I think at this point, when we've laid people off, cut hours, I don't see how we could support this as much as I want to.
Brig,
Sorry, I mistakenly put the hand up. Sorry about that.
all good. I think I feel the same way, Mary. I'm really stuck with the financial situation of the town. I think the educational incentive is what gives me the most pause because that's what feels out of line with our other agreements. And I think especially where we didn't get the insurance provision, I just have a lot of concerns with this. As much as I would like to support it, I don't know that it's sustainable.
I have a question, Laura. If we vote no, does this go back to the negotiation after, if say the town council votes no? What happens? They go back to negotiate?
Correct.
So I mean, that makes me feel. I mean,
So this is June 24th on it, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming that it's August 24th.
yes.
Okay.
Can you say that again? Because we're just talking finance here. So when they have to pull the money, so you're funding in arrears for fiscal 2025 and 26.
Mhm.
The 27 is already set in the budget, but you're gonna run short, right?
Well, we estimated the budget based on what we knew.
Yeah. Based on a certain headcount at certain salaries, but now the salaries are gonna be a little high.
Right.
So you might still run short in the fire department.
Well, that's what the appropriation for 27 says. Yeah, what it would need to be.
But this amount would pay in arrears for past 2 fiscal years, which
Yes,
have been
correct.
closed out.
Correct.
So it can't be made up in 27 for the whole amount.
Right.
Which is, I think it puts us in a bad situation, but in that light, I would probably have to support it because I don't want to see half our fire department disappear to cover a bill for the past 2 years. You know what I mean?
No,
They could make it up by layoffs and use the funding from the department to pay for this,
well,
but we
we're
wouldn't
already
want
one
that.
fireman shot.
Yeah,
So you're saying using the fund, lay people
no,
off?
so it's a bucket of money. So you either use the bucket of money for operations, which it should be, or you use the bucket of money for operations and covering 2 prior fiscal years.
Well, this is for the retro payments.
Yes.
In the current budget.
So I guess maybe a clarifying question to get at what I think you're getting at is, are we voting to like accept this agreement or are we voting on just the money? Like, are we already locked into the agreement either way?
It's recommended.
Right, sorry. I'll change my language. Are we
Yeah,
voting
it's
to recommend
recommended
the
To
agreement?
fund the award. We will fund. the
But if we,
arbitration.
in theory, if we voted to not fund the award, would the agreement go into effect either way? Because I think that's what your question is. If the agreement would go into effect either way, the money has to come from somewhere, right?
So how could the arbitration not be binding?
It has to be funded by the legislative body of the.
So it's binding subject to
That's why I
appropriation.
asked, they would go back to renegotiate.
Okay.
Anybody have a motion?
I will make a motion to not recommend to the town council for budget and finance.
I'll second that.
So I'll do a roll call. Paul?
Yes,
Well, you have to
am
say
I-
yes.
yes, am I
or no.
not to recommend? Yeah, thank you.
Mark?
Yes.
And myself, yes. So we voted 3-0 to not recommend.
Do I hear a motion from the finance committee?
I'll make that same recommendation, not to recommend.
I'll second that.
Okay, we get a roll call?
Dana,
Yes.
Rig,
Aye.
John,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
On to our last item, which is a discussion item. It is a discussion on an override.
There's real game trouble next to this. And if we would,
Start the discussion.
start the discussion. You know, because I mean, I have our override from the Pine Fire. And it was a huge fail. So I thought maybe we could, if we choose to do an override, what we did wrong and maybe how we could change it. The other question I had, Laurie, when will, some of the assessment of the taxes to give us an idea of what our budget will be for?
So. Tax rate's usually set in November.
Okay. So right now, the June ones, we do quarterly, right? So the one she's doing right now,
The ones that were just paid are their preliminary, so
right,
those are estimated based on last year's valuation, and then there's an added 2.5% estimate. And then you have the first 2 quarters of billing.
okay.
So then in the fall, we get our free cash certified, all of our balance sheets, and then we start the recap process. And which they're in the, they got, they're doing valuation currently, so. We set the tax rate, usually the first week of December.
Do we pretty much have an idea of what new growth was? We got one on?
Yep, they'll have a good idea,
Okay.
probably in the next month or two.
Anyone wants to say anything?
Sure. I'm hoping we'll consider a menu of, like Abington did. There were 7 items on there, 2.5 override, 6 out of the 7 have passed. I don't know all the specifics, but they're on, they were on the Town of Abington website. It was one of the few overrides that actually passed in the state. Unfortunately, the one that didn't pass was the one for the town hall operations. But the other ones did. The smaller ones certainly did. The last time we did it, we had a short window, very short window. It was hard to get the messaging out. Personally, I think the people that should do the messaging are the people that are affected. None of us, town manager, superintendent of schools, not the library director, the police and fire chief, but the people that are affected by it. I worked in messaging for 37 years. When I saw the kids go up before the school committee, I listened. You have seniors at the senior center. You have all ages at the library. You have a lot of people that support public safety and support the schools. So, and we have a wonderful community television station here in town. We don't have to spend a ton of money on it to do the messaging. Not everybody has cable, but the nice thing about cable is they put it online. Not everybody has online, so there'll be print. Town manager's done a good job of going to the senior center and talking to the seniors and having community meetings, but it's a lot of it's in the messaging. And, people are, I voted for it last time, even though I didn't have a job to support it. I support our town services, but we threw it all into a blender and we came up with $5 million and people didn't believe us. So we got to do a different job.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, Mary, I think when I asked you if we could put this on the agenda a few weeks back, I wanted to share and I thought this was a good opportunity with our combined committee right now, that I drafted legislation for an order to establish an exploration committee to explore the opportunity of an override. And I thought that was a good path for us to take because it gives us an opportunity to establish a committee that'll be directly focused on that's the key word, if Bridgewater should pursue an override in the future. And I think having a committee that could be dedicated to that and maybe spend the next 6 months, 8 months, even a year on it, do the work necessary to understand the budget fully, and then start making some decisions on whether an override makes sense or not for Bridgewater. Also in the process, understanding what are the impacts for that if it is approved or if it fails, understanding exactly what Mark said, what it looks like on the ballot, how should it be written, what are the options there, and then also establishing the committee based on 2 finance committee members, 2 budget and finance committee member from the town council, and then also including citizens' participation in this as well. Because if we create a committee that's solely focused on this, I believe the due diligence will be done to put something forward, whether that is to go forward or not, that proves to the community, yes, this is what we need, or no, this is not what we need. Because that's, I think, where we fell short the most last year is, we knew one needed to be put forward because the folks in the room understood the current situation with the budget. But to the point, again, what Mark said, the messaging and the work wasn't demonstrated enough to the citizens in town. So I would prefer we go the route of creating a separate committee. Ultimately, that decision will come back to the full finance committee and the full town council to move forward. So it would have to come back through our paths anyways. But I think putting in the work and spending some time on it with a dedicated committee could really help us going forward.
Paul, did you say you wrote that order already?
I do. Yes, I have drafted an order. But again, I wanted to discuss it with folks before putting it on any agenda to see how folks felt.
Okay, thank you.
I actually had that written down too, so I think that's a great idea. I think also it's a way to build credibility with our community. I think the biggest thing we heard was people wanted transparency. They want to understand where the money's going and how their taxes are being spent. And so a dedicated committee brings that credibility. You have everyone represented at the table. Because as Councilor Lindy said, there's multiple options. There's different ways to do it. You can do a menu, you can do a pyramid, you can do one like we did, you can do a 3-year override, and there's tons of different strategies that play into that. And I think an independent group studying that would make a really big difference. But I think the bigger thing we need to focus on in the short term is making sure we're communicating out to our residents, how are our taxes currently being spent and how much revenue are we bringing in?
So I like to tell the story. I was standing in the Welcome Center at the U.S. Capitol after our last override in 2010. And my wife and I studied Proposition 2.5 to the end. And I believe I have a full handle on everything about overrides. And I decided at that point to join the council because I didn't want to see Bridgewater have another override. So operational override. So there's two different overrides. There's the override which has the debt exclusion, and those are easy to justify. You make up a list of things that you need. You need a new school, you need a new firehouse, you need new town hall. Those are easy if you can get the numbers right and get solid support behind it. But a lifting of the debt ceiling limit is simply adding more money to the real estate taxes. You can promise to the end of the time what you're going to do with the money, and maybe you do that the first year. But the second year, I can guarantee you, in all the towns that passed, they aren't doing what they said they were going to do with the money, because the next fiscal budget has many other attributes, such as increased cost of contracts and other changes that happen. And that money does not have to be dedicated to a specific use. And that's where the communication breaks down. So what needs to happen on a committee like what Paul is talking about isn't that, we have to communicate better about how this override is going to fund it. What you need to do is communicate what our community needs. Our community needs 40 firefighters and 36 policemen and teachers and admin people, things like that. And then that costs X, and we have revenues coming in Y, and there's a gap. And so if the community supports that we have 40 firefighters and 36 policemen and 40 people in town hall, and what the cost is going to be and what the escalation cost is going to be, then you can support the thing. Because you cannot promise that you're going to restore music to schools of an override, because music isn't necessarily going to be restored to schools. And that's where the override last time fell down for my kids, because they made all these grand promises and none of them came forward. And so there's a lot of people that will vote no on an override, regardless of what the story is. But if we can tell the story that it's to fund these services, and these services cost this, and we don't have the revenue, then we can maybe lift the limit.
Well, I'm working with assessors because we're gonna start looking at exemptions for seniors before this happens. So during this month, I'm gonna be working with them to see what tax exemptions we can implement, so it will help them, because that was one of the huge things a lot of the seniors spoke about, because they're gonna uprise, but there are a lot of exemptions that we can probably put in for the seniors, and that will help, at least I think, a little bit with the override, if we do that override. Otherwise, then they should get it anyways.
I think also fact checking on like the context. So how do we actually stack with neighboring towns in our county for tax bills? Because I kept hearing over like lots of misinformation about how high our tax bills were relative to other towns. We're 21st among the 28 in Plymouth County for municipal tax rates. And I think that that's important for people to know. And so it's all in like exactly what you were saying. You've got to make the numbers mean something to people. You have to contextualize them. And I think a dedicated commission or committee, or however Councilor Murphy wants to draft it, will get us there, because it will give people a mission and they'll have to report back. And so there will be that transparency built in, and you'll have credibility with folks. And then you can discuss the strategy, because first you have to figure out the number, and then you have to figure out, okay, how do we break it down to make it compelling?
Well, I think the committee's a really good idea. Should be done. I don't know. Go ahead, Paul.
I was only going to comment quickly, Mary. I love the idea of finding out what incentives we could give for our seniors, and I know we've done it for our veterans. what we need to do is really hold education sessions for folks to know how they can utilize those as well too. So we do currently offer those, but like how are we communicating that out and how are we educating folks of how to pursue those things too? So that's another piece that I know we've talked about, but same thing, education about an override. Like, what does that mean to folks? As Bill had mentioned, what does it look like now? Where are we going? Why are we doing this? What does that look like? I think has to be part of this too. Just education about what an override is and what that looks like should be a commitment that we make as well.
Well, Paul, there are some other options for seniors, and that's what Shelley and I are going to talk about, like bringing down the age. There's several of them, so I haven't really talked to her about it all. We just discussed it, but there will be new ones, and we'll have to make sure that they go to the senior place and really tell them about it. So there should be new benefits for the seniors.
Down the,
Yeah.
the annual salary or the,
Yeah, the annual salary, the annual age. So we're going to be working on that.
The other thing I think might be worth considering, in addition to or in place of an override committee, is a long-term fiscal planning committee. Because I think when you talk about exemptions, that's wonderful. That also takes away from our tax base.
Yeah.
And so it means the relative impact on the rest of the folks is going to be higher. And if you had a long-term planning committee, they could help identify that. And I think something I really want to look into is our variable revenue. Over FY24 and FY25, we overperformed our revenue by almost 50% relative to what we had forecasted. And because we're not budgeting that, we're not taking advantage of that. Want to leave a little room so you can overperform, so you're not ending up in a bad position. But we've left millions of dollars on the table already. And I think that also erodes confidence in folks. We say our budget's really tight, and then we're coming in $3 million higher in FY25 than what we had forecasted. People aren't going to believe us if we keep coming back to them. So we need to talk about that too.
Well, do we have a deficit because of the snow and the ice? That really cut into this year.
Yeah.
But we do usually talk about, we met with Laurie and Shelley before, like when the veterans, how much this would be and what would it be, and before we even voted on it. Yeah, I mean, those guys, you guys
a
are
lot of that revenue though was intentionally in, with the budget resolution and everything, it paid for all the capital that's been going on for the last, 5 years. So we've been able to put money to the library.
We should find a way to show that though, because in the way that we're budgeting it right now, it just looks like we're wildly under forecasting, and that erodes confidence. And we want people to have confidence in our.
Similar in structure, because I don't know where on your agenda we can do this. But in our next meeting, I'd like to add 3 items to our agenda. One is forecasts, one is ambulance receipts, and one is the monthly financial report. We used to do forecasting, and we can talk about this in general terms, but it plays into this whole thing. So a lot of the comments is about confidence in the numbers, right? And so when I had my interview to join this committee, one of the things I told the group was, and I've said this over the years, it's not new. I'd like the finance committee to be more active, more proactive, and not reactionary. So in the past, and I haven't seen it in the recent past, but in the past, it was town council puts up something, sends it to finance committee votes on it, goes back. So I'm interested in creating and recommending policy to the town council. And so, as I said in my interview process, the finance committee actually has more power than the town council when it comes in terms with working with the finance director and the department. And we need to create a policy about how we're going to do that. But we have, under the charter, the right to examine any books of the town. And we have the right to talk about any financial structure that we want to. But we don't have to do that at the direction of the town council. We can do that on our own with our own agenda of items. And so we used to do a forecast that was highly reliable for revenue. And so we used to use like the concept of cone of confidence for the numbers. And if you go back to I think the first time I wrote it was 2011, maybe 12. Go back to my very first resolution, the budget resolution. it talks specifically about how much of a specific number to use. So how much of a real estate number to use, how much of variable things like permitting and things, how much to use the excise tax. I don't know if you still do it, Lori, but Tony used to have access to an amazing amount of data that we massaged into different viewpoints. And so, for instance, we could look at exactly how much excise tax was going to be predicted. And so when you get that confidence in the revenue, then you start building. And that was the whole point of the budget resolution, was to get confidence in the revenue to build an expense budget based on that. So if we can add those three things, so we could talk about, to your point, about maybe not having another body, but doing the work ourselves, about, forecasting and revenue building and that sort of thing.
Yeah, those schedules are still what I use, and they're updated and tweaked, and there's so many templates out there, but our projected revenues have been conservative based on having money to put away and capital needs and everything. And then there's always the one-time things that we don't expect that always has to go to the general fund. And over the last few years, we've put funds that were sitting stale for a long time. So we've done a lot of work to put it back to the general fund, so it could be turned over to free cash to be used for other things. So we've done a lot of work over the last few years.
And we get the end of the month budgets in the month. Yeah.
Good.
I mean, Laura's very involved. We're very involved in the reason we started doing joint meetings, so we could, talk about more and be more with strength. And that way we're not, what do you say? What do you say? And like, we have another meeting or a joint meeting this month to go over the pension. We got the Old Colony treasurer coming. So we are working together because there's a lot of work, and the more people that we have, the better off we are. So,
and I think community engagement is really important, and and it's one of our goals, right? And, Trisha talked for hours, and that's what she's been doing. So,
all right. We done with the override? Other questions? We move on to public comment, or do you guys have some more?
somebody have transfer station and something?
No, we took that off. I don't
yeah.
want to look at something, but we'll be going to that one.
Phew,
I think
I was ready with the numbers.
You can save them. We'll be probably doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be doing it.
All right.
Public comment, we'll start with here. Yeah.
Jason Hanson, Pleasant Street. Just some notations for the stuff that you talked about earlier about the legislation referring on the family trust. I had a question, when you have something like that, is it held in a separate account so that it can't be touched by anything? It's in a separate account. That's collecting interest at that point. So you're getting more money on it. And so it can't be touched except for that. And any donation, you touched on this, and somebody had a question about if somebody donates money, they usually have, this is what it's for. So you can't use it for anything else but that. So to reassure people that mention something to it. But we won't go about the fire station property because that wasn't how the dump wanted it, but I just wanted to make sure that that's going in a separate account. So the town must have a lot of different accounts.
Sure does.
As far as the money from the Bridgewater Estate, I kind of agree. I mean, it's nice. Shouldn't a gift horse in the mouth, but it would be nice if they could give a little more. But it seems like right now it's going to an intersection that I don't think needs any improvement. And we also had received the grant from the state for the same area. So, but it just seems like it's always going to that. We need it for other areas. So, that's my comments on that. And as far as the stabilization fund, I know you mixed it, which is fine, but I was going to ask, why can't some of that, which would be a lot smaller amount, go to the library? I don't know why the interest of the stabilization fund couldn't go to help the library is my question. But as far as the override is concerned, I certainly don't want an override because I can't afford it. It's not because I don't care, but I just don't think last year's override, was it last year? Didn't pass because they put so much on it. And it was like so overwhelming. Not that it didn't need money. I think the school budget was the one that really put it over the edge, but if you want it to fail, put everything and have it all or nothing. For somebody who would love to have it, go that way, because then they have a better chance of it not passing because it's too overwhelming. But if you're gonna do it, I think you should do it. All right, this override for the library, override for this, override for the roads, override, whatever. So that people can choose which one they wanna go in debt on. Because, and I would, if it was just the library, I would do it, not because it's not gonna be as high. But it's like, where's the money coming? I have voted for when they were gonna build the new PK Mitchell. I voted for that, because they convinced me it needs to be done, and they showed me that it will go down, so that your taxes, you'll eventually not be paying for that anymore. But I have yet to see or know if my taxes are affected by the decrease because the taxes keep going up. Is there a way of reassuring somebody that I am no longer paying for that school or it's gone down? How can we, is there a way of showing somebody, because the taxes keep going up, so I have no way of knowing if the debt has been paid off of me. And so I would like to see a way of doing that. My taxes have increased, quadrupled, whatever, and we have had no improvements on our home at all. But it's keeps going up every year, and we're on a fixed income. We don't have money to keep spending. So I get it to have an override, but where's the money coming from the individual? And it's not that you don't want to support things. It's just that you don't have the money yourself to do that. I don't see the taxes going down. It's unbelievable how much taxes go up. And I haven't done anything on my property. But is there a way, is there a way of showing people that if you have those debt ones, it's to pay for a building, and when that's all done and paid for, the taxes will go down? Is there a way of showing us that we did actually pay for it? But I don't see, I can't see it because it keeps going up and up, and my taxes have gone up for the preliminary or estimated. And who knows, I'm hoping it goes down, but I think it's gonna go down. But those are my comments. But if you're gonna do an override, do it by piece. Just like the Charter Review Committee, they did it originally, not 6 years ago. I was on that committee. The one before then failed because it was an all or nothing. And they have done a couple of pieces for the Charter Review, but I would like to know how my taxes are being affected by this. I can't afford it, and if I can't afford it, other people can't afford it. It's a catch-22. Thank you.
Josh or Deb, is anybody online that want to speak?
I don't see anybody else.
Yeah, no one has their hands up.
I forgot one's been, just I hear all these committees, which is great, but I find that we have to be careful we don't overrun our town with committees. Everybody's gonna be on a committee, like, who's running it? There's nothing too committee happy. That's it.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
Second, all right. All right, everyone,
Motion to adjourn.
aye.
Oh, do you have to do your vote?
Aye.
Aye. Paul?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right.
You do.
I have a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Second.
I'll second it.
All right. We have a roll call, Josh. Or
Dana,
can we just say aye? Yes.
John,
Aye.
Chris,
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.